Well, good morning, friends. I've had some technical difficulties on my computer with Facebook going live. Don't know what's going on, but it's not going to stop us. We're going to work this out and pray that everything will go well. Well, good morning anyway. This is Pastor Mick McLaughlin, Kennesaw Community Church. I'm honored today to be able to say Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. Pray that you will have a wonderful day today, that God will bless you as we seek Him today and do His will. Pray that you would just continue to be blessed. I apologize again for the complications we're having with Facebook, but we'll get it going here right now. So today I just want to thank you for joining me. Again, I want to wish every mother a happy Mother's Day and just pray that God will just continue to bless you as we worship Him today. Again, this is Pastor Mick McLaughlin of Kennesaw Community Church, and just want to, again, thank you for joining me. I apologize for the technical problems I'm having with Facebook, but anyway, we'll work those out, and we'll just continue to go. Today, I want to share Mother's Day's message with you. Mother's Day is the third most celebrated holiday in the whole world. Christmas is first, and Easter is second, and then third comes Mother's Day. And that makes sense. The birth of Jesus, the resurrection of Jesus, and Mom right up there, as it should be. The injustice we have in celebrating Mother's Day is it only happens once a year. Some people have said maybe it should be done every day or every month, at least once a month, because moms are very special. They have a way of saying some very profound things that we tend to remember the rest of our life, such as, because I said so, that's why, or shut your mouth and eat your food. Or one of the favorites is, would you just look at the dirt on the back of your neck? Those are nothing new. I believe that moms throughout the history of the world has said some remarkable things, memorable things. It wouldn't surprise me if Monica Lisa's mother said, after all that money your father and I spent on your braces, that's the best smile you could ever give. Or how about Columbus's mother? I don't care what you and your friends have discovered. You still could have written me a letter. Or about Mrs. Dumpy? Far be it to me to say, I told you. But didn't I tell you 1,000 times? Don't play on the wall, Humpty. And now look at you. Or Mrs. Locke says to Goldie, that was Mrs. Bear on the phone. She wants me to explain to her why my daughter ate all their partridge, broke the baby's chair. What do you have to say for yourself? Or can you imagine Jonah's mother saying, okay, that's a cute story. Now tell me where you've really been the last 3 days. I think mothers have said some very similar things throughout the centuries. But even with all the changing times, mothers really haven't changed. But then again, on the other side, moms go through a lot of evolutionary processes as their families get bigger. Changes that happens within their families. New additions join to families. The rules and standards and expectations seem to change a lot. You know, in our family, we had 3 sons. And I really noticed the difference on how we treated each one. For example, with John, there's about 500 baby pictures. With Andrew, maybe half that much. And then when Jay came along, we kind of said, You know, he'll start school in a few years. We'll just wait and see what his class pictures look like. You know, that seems the way it is. With the first baby, you begin wearing maternity clothes as soon as your OB or GYN confirms that you're pregnant. With the second baby, you start wearing your regular clothes as long as possible. And the third baby, your maternity clothes are your regular clothes. With the first baby, you practice Lamaze every day. The second baby, you don't practice as much because you remember it really didn't do that much for you the first time. With the third baby, you ask the doctor to give you an epidural on the 8th month because you know what's going to happen. With the first baby, when there's a sign of distress, the slightest whimper, you rush in, pick the baby up. With the second baby, if you think they're crying loud enough to wake up the firstborn, you'll go in. With the third baby, you just tell the older ones just to rewind the mechanical swing and everything will be fine. And with the first baby, you spend a good bit of time gazing at this little miracle that God created. With the second baby, you spend a little time watching them every day to make sure the older child isn't poking them or squeezing them too hard. And when the third child comes along, you spend a little bit of time every day hiding from your children. Mother Day for mothers is a special day. So today we celebrate you. We honor you. Today I want to share a message just for mothers. A message that applies to some of the roles that you have as a mother. You know, I know that being a mom isn't easy. It's easy to get discouraged. It's easy to feel overwhelmed with all your responsibilities that you have as a mother. It's also very easy to feel underappreciated. Sometimes you feel inadequate. And everybody feels inadequate sometimes or another, but especially moms. Your job is to take care of people who don't always want to be taken care of, and who always doesn't respond to you in the efforts in which you wish they would. So today I want to talk about 3 things to remind moms how important their job is. And the first one of this I want to tell you is this: you are essential. You are essential. The worth of a mother cannot be put in words. It can't be put in dollars and cents. But if we could, it would be astounding. About 9 years ago, Salary.com came out with a statement that says that working moms or stay-at-home moms, if they added up all their hours that moms spent being a housekeeper, a daycare provider, a cook, facility manager, a van driver, a laundrier, a janitor, and a CEO, their salary for a stay-at-home mom would come near to $115,000. It's amazing, isn't it? I hope moms never form a union. If we do, we're in serious trouble. You know, it'd be nice if a mom could get paid what they're worth. We live in a society which tends to equate value with what one earns rather than what one does. So in that sense, our perspective is distorted on the value of a mom. In our society, people earn a lot more money being able to throw a ball or being able to sing or even being physically attractive. The crazy of our culture is that people do the best things, the most significant things, and often get paid the least, or in most cases, not at all. So moms, today we celebrate your contributions. Sorry, it's only once a year. I want to remind you that every day of your life, what you do matters. You are important. Maybe sometimes the people around you don't show it. And sometimes it may seem like they don't even know it. But you know it. And your Father in heaven knows what you do. You are important. But more than important, you are essential. The people in your life need you. More than they often say it, more than they often realize it. Because moms, without you, I believe the family would fall apart. No kidding. Really, I'm serious. Proverbs 29:15 reminds us, a child left to himself disgraces his mother. See, with your correction, with your discipline, your guidance, your training, your comfort, and your nurturing presence, without those, your kids would not stand a chance. You are important. See, people need you in a way they might not realize. And I understand the point of receiving recognition for what you do may be far and in between. But don't let that stop you, prevent you from recognizing your value, what you contribute to your family and your children. Sometimes I want you to try to think about how this applies to your mother. Moms, if you were to put a dollar amount on the investment that she made in your life, what do you think that number would be? And how many lifetimes would it take for you to pay her back? So here's a Mother Day challenge I have for mothers. If your mom's still alive, do something very soon to show her how important she has been in your life. And if she's not alive, do something that will honor her, to demonstrate a heart of gratitude for the role that she played in her life. You are essential. You are important. The second thing I want to remind mothers are, you are influential. The very first miracle that Jesus performed was a wedding in Cana. The couple was about to run out of wine. And for a Jewish wedding at that time and place, it would have been very embarrassing, socially humiliating. Mary, Jesus' mother, went to Jesus and said, they're about to run out of wine. And Jesus said to her, what do you want me involved in this? My time hasn't come. Mary didn't say anything else to Jesus. She just turned to the waiters and says, do whatever he tells you to do. And Jesus told them to go and fill these jars of water with water. And the Bible says the water turned into wine. And John 12:12 said that through this miracle, he revealed his glory, and his disciples put their faith in him. See, it was Mary who God used to give Jesus the influence. It was time for him to begin his ministry. See, that's how much influence that she had on her son. The French leader Napoleon Bonaparte once said, "Let France have good mothers, and France will have good sons." He makes a good point. A mother's influence shapes future lives. The book of Proverbs 14:1 says this: "A wise woman builds her house, but with her own hands, the foolish one tears hers down." Mothers, you're a mother of influence. It reminds me when I read once that a woman who is a mother of a small child said, "I'm aware that there are many people who contribute to their success. But I am amazed at the number of inmates, convicted felons, that has the word mother tattooed on them." Moms, you might not think that your children are listening. And whether you're aware of it or not, you can be sure that they are listening. I once heard a mother say that one time how amazing it was that the very advice her son used to reject is now what she hears him give her grandchildren. Sometimes it may seem that they never follow your advice or your values or your opinion, but they will. That's why it's so important that you take your influence seriously. You have an influence. It can be positive or it can be negative. You influence your children. So try to do it in a very positive way. They remember what you say, even if sometimes they say they don't. Moms, also be very careful. Your children will share your opinion of their father. They'll share your opinion of their brothers and sisters. That's how seriously your influence is. Make sure that what you're doing and influencing them will be used to build relationships, never to tear down people or relationships. Moms, you can influence people's opinions as well as their actions. So like all of us, we need to ask ourselves, do the things I do or the things I say bring out the best in people? Am I a good influence? Also think about how this applied to your mother. How did your mom influence you? What good things in your life today do you owe to your mother's influence? As I said, if you have a chance, tell her thank you. But more importantly, this week, make it a point to put that influence that you were giving into practice in your family. The third thing I want to share with you is this. You are enough. You are enough. See, the storybook scenario of a family is one mother and one father married to each other with children. That live together forever and ever in peace and harmony. See, that's the storybook version. But however, only one in 6 people live in America today in a family like that. The rest of the world lives single parents or either a blended family. See, oftentimes when you look at the families that are traditional structure, the father's usually not involved. He's working. And normally dads don't provide the leadership. And oftentimes, Mom, it falls on you to be the glue that holds the family together. Many times, Mom, you're the only one seriously involved in shaping the future of your children. I know at times it may seem like an impossible task, but I want you to know that God has equipped you to do what He's called you to do, that you are enough. And I'm not saying dads are not important, and dads don't misunderstand me. Of course dads are. But what I'm saying is that sometimes you find yourself doing these jobs all alone. And if you are, I want you to know you're enough. One of the most important leaders of the early church was a young man by the name of Timothy. He was Paul's protege. Paul was training him to be pastor in Ephesus, where according to history, he served there for 30 years before he was martyred for his faith. When Timothy was young in his ministry, Paul wrote this about him in 2 Timothy 1:5. I've been reminded of your sincere faith, which first lived in your grandmother Lois and your mother Eunice. Now I'm persuaded, now lives in you. What about the father? He wasn't mentioned. He probably wasn't a believer. But the grandmother and the mother influenced Timothy. Suzanne Wesley was another great mother. She was the mother of John and Charles Wesley, the founder of what is known today as the Methodist Church. Her husband was also a minister, but he had a lot of issues. He had a hard time getting along with people. He had problems serving churches that were paid. He had money problems. And he ended up, unfortunately, in debtor's prison a couple of times, leaving Susanna with her 13 children, I believe she had. See, Samuel's problem was that oftentimes he was a hothead. It's been written that while they were praying, if Samuel didn't like the way that Suzanne said amen, an argument occurred. Samuel was a traveling minister also, and he was gone a long time. And Suzanne had to teach the children. She taught them about life. She taught them the Bible. She taught them how to be a successful life. And written in her biography is these words. Although she never preached a sermon or published a book or founded a church, she is known as the mother of Methodism. Why? Because two of her sons, John Wesley and Charles Wesley, were children consciously or unconsciously willed, applied the examples and teachings and circumstances of their home to their life. With all those children, it was said that one reading I did on her that she would spend at least 30 minutes a day praying for each one of them. You know, I've noticed something, and it's not based on scientific research. It's just purely subjective in my ministry. But I've noticed among several people, families, that have come from broken homes. Some of them have floundered and wandered from their faith, and some of them have remained faithful in their faith. But I found that the common denominator in these families that remained strong in their faith with God is they had faithful praying mothers that influenced them in their walk in Christ. And those that seem to flounder comfort homes where the mom is not involved in church or really involved in a Christian life. You know, some of the kids that are struggling, who have fathers involved in church, but their mothers are missing. I'll say this is not scientific. It's not a psychological or philosophical or psychology study. It's just an interesting commonality that I've noticed over the years of my ministry. That I've noticed in families. There's something to be said because children listen to their mothers when they listen to no one else. I know today moms feel like they have the biggest, most impossible job in the world, and I'm sure you do. But I want you to understand you're up to the task. You are enough. God has equipped you. Even if you're doing without some of the help that you need, you are enough. I know the challenge before you may seem big for you to face alone. But you are enough. Because you're really not alone. God is with you. Listen to what he promised you. In Isaiah chapter 43, verses 2 and 3, when you pass through the waters, I will be with you. When you pass through the rivers, they will not sweep you over. When you walk through the fires, they will not burn you. The flames will not set you ablaze. For I am the Lord, your God. And God promised you that he would always be with you. And he would never leave you. God promised you that whatever task he's called you, the good works he's called you to do, that he will accomplish in you. You know, sometimes the job of being a mother or just the job of being a believer seems to be too big for us. Too big for us to handle all by ourselves. But you are not alone. God is with you. And you are enough to do what God has called you to do, to be that godly mother in your home. There's an old proverb that says, An ounce of mother is worth more than a pound of clergy. Moms, you have a voice. You have a voice in the life of your children that no one else will ever have. Use that voice very wisely. Proverbs 14:1, as I already stated, says this: a wise woman builds her house. With her own hands, the foolish woman tears it down. Mothers, you have a chance to build not just a house, but a future for your children and your grandchildren and your great-grandchildren. They need you. You are essential. You are an influencer. You are enough to make a difference in this generation of your children and generations to come. You are mom. You are a mother. I just want to thank God for you. I want to thank God that you've yielded to the task that God has called you to be a mother, to be a mom, to instill in your children those Christian virtues, all those things that are good and holy. I want to commend you for constantly praying and calling out to God for your children and their children, for being the instrument of the Holy Spirit to your children and to your family. We honor you today, and I thank God for you. Let me encourage you when the road gets tough. Just remember, you are essential. You are important. You have influence. And you are enough. God bless you and your family, and I hope you have a wonderful Mother's Day. Thank you for joining me.